Welcome to Sexy Sunday School's podcast, where we talk about everything sexy and everything spiritual. I'm your host, Miss Nicole Brooke, the modern day Mary Magdalene, on a mission to help humanity evolve by speaking about some of the most taboo topics on earth. Today, I want to take you back into the Courtesan Confessional booth, an advocacy platform for sex workers and survivors of sex trafficking. This conversation is for mature audiences only and is aimed at education, insight, and healing. Together, we are manifesting a sex work positive world, one story at a time. Right now, sitting in the confessional booth, we have a beautiful woman named Ariel Szabo, ready to be heard and to be seen. Let's give a warm welcome to this dear sister. What would you like to confess today?
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I want to confess that I was sexually trafficked into my own sexual energy healed me.
Hmm.
And this is why I know that no matter what has happened to you, pleasure can be yours again.
Hmm. Getting full body goosebumps on there. That's a lot to unpack.
Mm.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. Where would you like to start?
Well, I'd like to start with what got me there to being sexually trafficked. And really, I actually chose sex work before I was sexually trafficked.
Okay.
So I chose sex work really because I was seeking connection. I was
Mm.
seeking connection to my agency, to my sexuality, and I was also really trying to find my value, find my worth, and growing up in this culture where as a woman, I was taught that my value, my worth is directly related to my desirability. I wanted to soak up as much desire from people as possible.
Yeah. Was there something in your life that didn't allow you to have connection? You weren't like in a partnership? Did you not find yourself in a community? And what kind of sex work were you drawn to first? Was it in
Mhm.
person? Was it digital?
Yeah. I think there were a lot of things keeping me from true connection. When I first got into sex work, I started stripping and I was 19 years old.
Mm,
And there are many different contributing factors. One was just growing up in the society that we live in, where we are born into a society that is severed from the land. So
mm,
then we're severed from our bodies. We live in a culture that profits off our disassociation, right?
mm-hmm.
And kind of like taught that, oh, I'll get the connection by making as much money as possible, or by being validated, or by having the right clothes, right? All so I was taught that the way to get the connection was all the things outside of myself, and I kept doing all of these things but wasn't feeling the connection, right? So I was like stuck in this loop.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and another big contributing factor was that I was sexually abused as a child.
Okay.
So I needed to kind of leave my body in that moment to stay safe, to survive. And then that was a learned way of being in the world.
Hmm. Where were you in the world?
I grew up in Cambridge, Massachusetts, in the United
Okay.
States.
Okay. Okay. So you started with stripping, and how did that affect you at such a young age? I remember like I started exotic dancing when I was in my upper 20s and didn't even enter a strip club until my early 30s. So that's a huge gap where like I already had a lot of like wisdom under my belt, so I can't even imagine doing that at 19 years old.
Yeah, and a 19-year-old is really still a kid, just
Yeah.
a big kid,
Yeah.
And I was in college when I did this, and a friend of mine had actually invited me to go to an amateur night, and like my whole being just lit up. I was like, "Fuck yes!" And it was fun. All the attention, the money, a place where I was like expected to doll myself up and be sexy, where I felt shunned a lot of the time out in the world for that. or felt like, oh, if I make myself look too pretty, other women will be mean to me. Or, so it was like a space where I got to like play out all these things that were fun for me, but I didn't feel the space.
Yeah, I totally resonate with that. When I first entered the strip club, I was like, ooh, I just get to be sexy and free? Heck yeah.
Yeah. So there was a lot of ways in which I actually did get to experience connection with a lot of different parts of myself in that environment.
Hmm.
However, I was so young and I really didn't understand what my boundaries were or even how to feel into them or how to even know that I was allowed to voice them. So a lot of
Hmm.
things happened there that I didn't want to happen, right? It's
Hmm.
like, and also even just the environment themselves, how they're run, who they're run by, can be dangerous environment for someone who doesn't know how to feel into their boundaries and express them.
Hmm. Was it male owned?
Yeah, it was like mafia owned and the kind of thing where like if you give sexual favors to the bouncers or the owners, then they give you access to the better clients.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How
So,
long were you there?
um I was that stint at the strip club because later I did come back to it. But that stint at the strip club was about 2 years. And during that time, I also saw my first full service client. And that was a good experience for me. Like I left with feeling my agency. I left feeling really powerful. He was really gentle, kind. He listened to me. He never really pushed me anywhere that I didn't want to go.
Hmm.
Um, but I did leave with a lot of shame
Mm.
because of the stigma
Yep.
that our society has against sex workers. So this was a secret. I didn't really tell anyone that I had done this.
Yeah. I mean, it's illegal in the United States of America. So, yeah, it's something we have to be careful about.
Right, right. Illegal and like, gosh, all the things that people say all the time about whores. And I mean,
Oh, I know well. I know well.
So I graduate from college. I'm home and I was just having these kind of exciting experiences working at a strip club, having my first experience as a full service sex worker. And then I go back to an old job, dog grooming.
Oh, okay. I did not know that about your story.
So I'm back. I mean, I love dogs. I loved that job. But like I didn't have the excitement in my life. I'm carrying all the shame. I was just kind of like, what am I doing? Like I'm back home. Um, and I'm at a bus stop and a young man approaches me, who I later come to learn is a pimp, is a sex trafficker. But he approaches me and asks me if I like to smoke and drink. He's got a lot of swag. And I'm bored and I'm like, okay, yeah, I like to smoke and drink. Let's have some fun. So I give him my number and we hang out. We end up having sex. And he starts asking me these questions. And he's about if I had ever had sex for money. I start telling him about my experiences. Mind you, these are experiences I have never told a soul. And he's holding me as I tell him. So I'm feeling seen, accepted, loved in a place that I carry so much shame. And he's like, you know, stroking my hair as he's holding me and being like, wow, you're a smart girl. Smart girls fuck for money. And we're going to make a lot of money together. So he was exploiting my vulnerabilities. He exploited my longing for protection. He exploited the shame I was carrying, my desire to make money. He was
Hmm.
exploiting my lack of being able to feel into my boundaries and my voice, and also kind of the confusion I carried because of previous experiences um, in my early childhood of sexual abuse. And it just really kind of took off from there. Next thing I know it, I have these throwaway phones. He's putting me up in hotel rooms, advertising me on Craigslist and Backpage. And I'm seeing like multiple men in an evening. Um, and it just got out of hand real quick.
So let's go back to you being in bed with him and him proposing this idea to you.
Hmm.
What was your first instinct? What was your first feeling about it?
I couldn't tell you. I think a lot of that period of time, there was so much trauma that happened
Mm-hmm.
that yeah, it's like I know what happened and I make sense of it. And there's some pieces that I wouldn't be able to go back into with such detail.
Like when you first started doing it and going along with it, were you fully like, a hell yes, let me give this a try?
No. And what complicates this is that I was fawning, which is a automatic nervous response to stay safe when there is a threat. My body to like appease the threat, right? So my body had learned to fawn early on from traumatic experiences. And a lot of us actually do this in our normal everyday. Like, you might be in the corporate world and have a boss who like you end up appeasing and fawning towards because you need to keep your job. So you don't
Mm-hmm.
speak up for yourself in all the ways that you might otherwise if your job was not at stake.
Hmm.
So my nervous system was automatically appeasing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there was already this like no, I did not want to do what he was having me do, right? This is the great distinction of, yes, I was interested in being a sex worker, but on my terms. I was not interested in handing over all of my money to someone else. I was not interested in doing it under their rules. I was not interested in having my entire life, my body, and my sexuality be under someone else's control.
Mm-hmm. What was he giving you in return? Like, did you start living with him?
Uh, we were living together, but he was not giving me that in return. So he was giving me the illusion of protection, the illusion of love and care. And I was so desperate for both of those things.
Hmm.
So a lot of times, right, like someone like him, who's a master of manipulation, will exploit whatever vulnerabilities the the person that he is trafficking, that he is abusing. So, for example, other women that he's trafficked, if they're a heroin addict, well, then he's going to bring them heroin every day.
Hmm.
If they're poor and don't have a house, well, he's going to give them housing.
Hmm.
I was not in poverty. I was not a drug addict. I was an educated young woman with means who
Mm-hmm.
did not receive the love, care, and protection she needed growing up. I
Hmm.
was desperately seeking that.
Hmm. Hmm. After these nights, you went back to him and had that, and did you feel that warmth and protection with him after you provided the sexual services for the clients?
I think there were maybe moments, but in general, no, absolutely not.
Hmm. How long did this go on for?
Um, for about a total of 2 years, and about a year in, I started rebelling. Um, and something I want to say about what happens to trafficking victims is is a lot of the way that we are held in captivity, right? Because there's like this illusion that, oh, someone is locked in a room or held in chains. Sure, that is some people's circumstances, but the majority of domestic trafficking cases that happen do not look like that. And the victims' vulnerabilities are exploited, as we've talked about, but also there's a looming threat of violence. not just from the sex trafficker, like the guns he kept under my bed or the rage that he exhibited all the time that I was always trying to, keep at a level so that I wouldn't be harmed,
Hmm.
but also the violence from society,
Hmm.
from law enforcement. If I go get help, I'm probably going to be jailed. I had run-ins with cops that were awful. Um, so you kind of end up feeling like you have no way out. And then the shame on top of it, like the shame encapsulates you and keeps you stuck in, yeah, really, it can be very difficult to move from that place emotionally, physically.
Yeah. I take it the dog grooming was out of the picture at this point.
The dog grooming was out of the picture at this point.
And
I did at this point go back to stripping. And
okay.
this was part of one of my acts of rebellion
Okay.
because I started to value my experience enough that I would start to voice how I could no longer be put in hotel rooms and see streams of men. It was killing my soul.
Yeah.
He would dismiss and gaslight. He didn't care. But then I had an idea. I was like, I'll go back to the strip club. There was like a fancy one in Boston. I'll go back there. I'll find my own high paying regular clients. So I'm seeing less people and they're regular. So there's way less risk for me. I'm finding them. I have some sovereignty and agency again in choice. And he said yes.
I'm sure that was a nice break for your soul to just dance and feel free again, huh?
You know, it actually wasn't in that way.
Okay. Okay.
Um, I was very unhappy. I was not okay. I was stuck in a spiral of shame and terror everywhere I went in my life at that point in time. But being at the strip club gave me some more choice and agency back.
Mm-hmm.
So I could continue to rebel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I remember one night, he had me cornered against a wall and we were fighting. And I just like, I remember feeling maniacal and I was like, just fucking hit me. And I kept saying it and he wouldn't hit me because he needed to keep the violence imperceptible because that was the only way to keep me under his control, to keep anyone else from intervening. And it was that moment that I really started to realize, like, I don't need him. He needs me. Like, wow, shit, I have more power than I think I do.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So these little acts of rebellion, they helped me see how much power I did have, that I didn't need him. And they also gave me enough space to start to imagine a different life for myself. So I started to go back to school to get my real estate license.
Oh, that's a nice twist in the story. Were you making any of the money though?
No. So what he would do is, and this is another one of his tactics is that he would use is we had a shared bed and he would keep it in a safe under our bed and he would say, "This is our money. Someday we're going to get out together and live a vanilla life together. We're in this together."
Yeah, of course.
Um, and then I do remember one day, I think there had been almost 15 grand in there. And then one day I woke up and it was all gone.
Ouch.
Yeah.
So then how did you go back to school from the money from stripping?
No, I had some of my own money
Okay.
that was in like my own bank account. He had no access to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So then what happened after that?
Well, there were a variety of circumstances that created more and more space between us that allowed me to leave him. And I ended up moving and he didn't come with me. And I tried to get a restraining order against him, which was kind of impossible to do. Um, and he kept trying to contact me for a long time, like various ways and various phone numbers, various emails. And I started to get help. I started to go to therapy and find the right people to support me in my process of like figuring out what the fuck had just happened.
Right? Oh, I just got full body goosebumps with that one.
Yeah. Um, and I continued on my path in real estate, but I also continued on my path in sex work.
Hmm.
Um, because when I did leave him, I started sugaring. And I had two sugaring relationships. One, which was the last one I had before I took a break from the sex industry until coming back into it in a different way many years later in 2020. Um, but I had a beautiful relationship with this uh, beautiful arrangement with this man, and there was a lot of love and care there. And it was so sweet, and I did a lot of healing with him. And it actually ended up ending because really because of his care for me. He was like, I think you need to stop doing this. Like I think he could feel he didn't know so much about what had happened to me, but I think he could feel it.
Yeah. For the audience members who don't know what sugaring is or a sugar baby, sugar daddy relationship, can you go a little bit into what that is and what your setup was like?
Yeah, so I can definitely share what it was, what my setup was like. So there was often it's an older person who has money, who then has a sugar baby, who was me. And it was more like a rather than like getting together and all we do is have sex, we would get together and really build a true connection and relationship. So sometimes we'd go out to dinner. Often I would go to his house. He would cook me amazing meals. He was helping me like grow my real estate business. And we would talk about anything and sometimes read a book or watch a movie. And sex was part of the relationship too. And every time we would meet, he would give me an agreed upon amount of money. It was kind of like a weekly allowance, and we would
Hmm.
also spend time together every week.
So was it like a once a week kind of deal?
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. And yeah, I could imagine how that could bring you a lot of healing because you have that connection with him. He's taking care of you, but you still have your own space to breathe. Did
right.
you said that you had multiple sugar relationships. Were they at the same time?
Um, there may have been a little bit of an overlap, but I don't think much. And the first one wasn't what I was looking for or wanting, and it wasn't very fun.
How
Uh,
did you find them?
I think seekingarrangements.com or yeah, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the also the thing that I was longing for, like protection from a man, this sugar daddy actually gave that to me too. By saying like, "Hey, I think you got some healing to do. You need to stop doing this." And like,
Take a break.
yeah. So I did then I fully left the sex industry. And for the next 10 years, I was a real estate agent and really became quite a successful luxury real estate agent and just
Beautiful.
dove into healing like it was like that was my first job.
I have been on that journey too, sister.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Can you give us a little bit of a taste of what kind of healing modalities that you dove into, and what you found the most effective?
Yeah, so even before that time, I've used talk therapy on and off throughout my life, from 16 on. And talk therapy definitely has its great limitations, and it really did support me in kind of even beginning to open my voice and just say out loud things that I hadn't shared with anyone. So it really helped kind of loosen up the shame and prepare me for deeper modalities. Um, then plant medicine was just like, wow. I mean, it touched the places that talk therapy would never be able to touch.
Yeah, because
Uh,
that's more of an inner journey too with yourself.
yeah, it certainly can be. Plant medicines can certainly take you into the cosmos as well, but the way that they've always worked with me is very much very somatic, very internal, um, supporting me in really getting to all the grief, the wounds of betrayal and violation and abandonment that were living in my throat, my chest, my womb,
Mm.
my pussy. And like in releasing it, making way for all of my life force energy, for pleasure to start moving through me again.
How old were you at this point?
Um,
Like you started stripping at 19, and then when did you like fully get out of the industry and went on your healing journey?
yeah, so I had already, I will say that I started my healing journey even before. Like I had done a good amount of healing in high school around rape and abuse when I was younger. And then I became a stripper at 19. I was in therapy at that point. And then when I was trafficked, I was not in therapy. I think I escaped my trafficker maybe when I was like 25 or something,
Okay.
maybe 24. Yeah,
hmm
something like that.
hmm
Um, and then like really I'm 38 now. Um, and I slowly started using different medicines, but have really been like they're a huge part of my life, especially since 2020. But plant medicines was also the first the first time I came into contact with, oh, sexual energy, coming into contact with my authentic sexual energy can actually be a path to healing.
hmm
And I think that's actually what I was after when I first became a stripper. Like I
hmm
knew that sexual energy had this like potent thing. I knew this was my calling. There was
hmm
something there, but at that point in time, because I was so indoctrinated by this culture, this colonial capitalist patriarchy, because my body had this somatic memory of being dominated, my sexuality being dominated by men who had abused me and raped me, I was enacting that on my own sexuality, power
hmm
over my sexuality,
hmm
instead of learning to have power with it, to listen
hmm
to it, to see
hmm
how does it want to move.
hmm
So plant medicine really started to teach me about this. Like
Did you take special like classes? Did you have a facilitator to help you find all this out, or was it your own intuition that guided you?
so it was a mixture, because as I was starting to really walk a deep path with plants, I also started to come back into the sex industry through a lineage called somatic sex education and sexological body work.
Ooh, can you say that slowly again so the audience can hear it?
Yeah. So somatic sex education,
Okay.
and within that, there's a term called sexological body work.
Sexological body work.
Yeah.
What is that?
So, sexological body work was started by Joseph Kramer during the AIDS epidemic as a way to like deal what was happening in the gay community and find ways to still be with each other's bodies, erotic energy, and use it to actually bring in healing and connection and expansion. So, sexological body work is a container of one-way touch from practitioner to client to support the client in connecting to their eros, to their sexual energy, to their aliveness, connecting to the sensations in their body, feeling into their boundaries, discovering their desires and voicing them.
hmm
It's a beautiful, beautiful container.
Was that here in the United States?
So the school that I went to was in Canada. There's also a few other schools around the world, but in a lot of the United States, it's like illegal. It's in the gray area because it includes touch of the whole body. So within sexological bodywork, there's various practices like genital mapping, or erotic massage, right? This includes touching the whole body, touching the genitals for pleasure. And the powers that be say that that is illegal. It is illegal to touch genitals for pleasure. And what's so wild is that is the only thing that actually healed my wounds of being abused, raped, and exploited.
You being the facilitator or you being the receiver?
Being the receiver.
Ah, so someone else was touching you.
Yeah, and I was also touching myself. So that's where I started because I wasn't ready to, when I first really went deep into my healing journey with this, I was still too contracted. My body wouldn't be able to relax to receive from someone else. Way too
Hmm.
scary.
Hmm.
So I started working with my own body, touching my own body, learning to move my own sexual energy in my body. And then I started doing it with the natural world, with plants and the energy of the water and the trees. So I was starting to learn to be with it, with another being, but not yet a human.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Um, when you were with a human practitioner, was it in like a therapy office? Was it in your bedroom? Like, where does this even take place?
Yeah, so a lot of practitioners, like they'll have kind of a therapeutic office. Kind of like me, because I now am a practitioner of this, a facilitator of this, like I weave it together with a lot of different modalities, and a lot of other practitioners do that. But most people who practice sexological bodywork are not like your standard therapist because they would then be violating the ethics of the state requirements of being a licensed therapist, right? So these are more people who are in the healing arts.
Hmm.
So kind of more like a massage therapy art or like Reiki, those type of treatment spaces.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay. So that's something that is heavily in your life right now that you're doing.
Yes.
Interesting. I want you to try it on me. That sounds like it's cool.
Come on down. I'm in Los
Yeah.
Angeles.
So I guess you would say that using your sexual energy and like reclaiming your sexuality was a way that healed you both from the abuse from childhood and the trafficking.
Yes.
Hmm. What would you recommend to people who have also gone through childhood abuse? Like, where could they even start?
Yeah. So, a great place to start is just with your breath and
Okay.
staying with yourself as long as you can. And by staying with yourself, what I mean is like, can you find a quiet space? Can you really come into your body and like be with your sensations and start to build your capacity to do that? Because, everyone has a different capacity to this. For some survivors, just doing this is gonna like be a lot.
Is it because I guess once you calm your mind down and you connect to your breath, perhaps the trauma resurfaces and it could be
Yes.
scary to confront it?
Right. So, like, if you're really coming into your body and you have unmetabolized grief from trauma that lives in the tissues and cells of your body, when you come into that part of your body, if you're really listening, those memories are going to start to surface. But the amazing news is that if you just start to build your capacity, you get the support that you need. Once you really feel through it fully, you've metabolized it. It no longer lives there then. And then it creates
Mm.
all this space for pleasure and aliveness to joy to come in. And, the
Mm.
way that I really think about working with pleasure now is that pleasure is the resource to hold you while you feel these difficult things.
Mm.
And this is actually how I think about sex magic. So for me, sex magic is working with sexual energy to metabolize wounds, to alchemize shame, and to expand consciousness.
I would agree with that. I did a podcast episode a couple weeks ago with the murder of Renee Nicole Good from the ICE members, and I was really, really angry. And I have my own self-pleasure practice where I have all of these emotions and I don't know what to do with them. And I use my self-pleasure practice as a way to literally, once I reach orgasm, like I'm screaming, I'm rewilding myself, I'm shaking my entire body to just get the emotions out. I'm also asking spirit, like, help me. I don't want these emotions anymore. Get them out, transmute them. But I actually feel like weirdly like blessed to have begun a self pleasure practice since I was like 15. I remember there was a girl and she was like,
Amazing.
hey, did you know that there's this part on your vulva, your clitoris that brings you a lot of pleasure?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't know that." And so I went and I used this like little um massage, like tri butted like massager for your back, and I started putting that on my clitoris and I was like, whoa, and I started reaching climax and orgasm, and that's how I have had such great sex in the past. And I mean, now I'm kind of in my celibate mode, but from understanding my body and knowing my body, and being conscious and aware that this is a release where I can let go of emotion. So I totally resonate with you on how self-pleasure and joy can really heal. It can heal us. That is what it is. Sexual energy is healing energy. It just depends on the way that you use it.
Exactly. And you know that what that your story makes me think of is like, okay, so I started masturbating since before I can even remember, maybe three, four. But the way that I used to use pleasure was kind of as an escape.
Yeah.
So, right, there's really a difference between pleasure that brings us out of ourselves or embodied pleasure that brings us deeper into ourselves.
Say that again.
Pleasure that's an escape that brings us out of ourselves.
Yeah.
Embodied pleasure that brings us deeper into ourselves. And when we are actually experiencing embodied pleasure, we will have grief come up. Not necessarily every time, but it will happen because that means our pussy is connected to our womb, connected to our heart, connected to our throat, and the pleasure will touch all parts of ourselves. And right, this is kind of the premise that we're talking about of sex magic. Like the way I think about it is pleasure is connection, embodied pleasure. And when we start to feel good, we open. And then things that are kind of lurking beneath that have been unmetabolized may then start to come to the surface. So we might start to feel those things, but then if we kind of stay with pleasure or even ask if a part comes up that's like full of shame, we can even ask that part, what would feel good to you right now?
Hmm.
Then we're using pleasure to like alchemize that wound and validating the worthiness of the wound too by saying, what would feel good to you right now? And
Mm-hmm.
allowing it to feel good. And it just like integrates fragmented parts of ourselves back into our being with pleasure. Like if that
Hmm.
is not magic.
I
So,
actually I use plant medicine as well, the sacred plant of marijuana, to
mm,
go into those healing sessions of self-pleasure with myself because the intention is to go in deep, get everything, get all the grime and the dirt from out there and bring it to light. So, yeah, using those both in conjunction can be a beautiful way of healing, and I hope that this conversation inspires people to try it themselves.
yeah, cannabis is such a good one, right? Although
Yeah.
some strains make me really paranoid.
I mean, you got to be careful with your sativa, your indica. You got to be careful with that. Each marijuana like strand is going to be
Yeah,
different on you,
with
on
the
different
right
people.
one and the right dose. Oh my God, so good, right?
Yeah.
It's like teaching
Wait,
people everything.
what other kind of plant medicine do you use?
Um, so I guess I've used different things depending on what I'm doing, but like sometimes I use non-psychoactive plants too, like cacao, bulbinzana, rose. I've really enjoyed all
Hmm.
of those for pleasure practice. And then sometimes I also like if I'm going into a pleasure practice with my beloved, we might use like actually a high dose of like MDMA or psilocybin and go on like a big journey.
I feel I'm still too chicken to do that. I haven't done any of those yet. I'm still like a virgin with that.
Yeah, well, take your time.
Yeah.
And also what I will say, since I've said that to people who are listening, like it is no joke to be combining substances with sexual energy. Each on their own, they
Mm,
are medicines, and I do not recommend at all just like jumping into doing that, right? I have been sitting with medicines for a long time. I've been sitting with sexual energy for a long time.
yeah.
They blur boundaries.
Hmm.
So it's really important to be really careful when you're mixing substances with sexual energy, particularly with another person.
Yes. Yes. That I feel kind of proud. Back in Barcelona when I was having all of my my hot flings, I would actually be the one to initiate a lot of men into cannabis. Like they had never done it. And I'm like, I love getting high and having sex because it like literally turns it into a movie scene. And I was able to like hold the space for my partner to be able to have an even more enjoyable sexual experience with me. But of course, there were times where they might get paranoid, especially if they've never done it before. So it is definitely something you need to do with caution, and with a lot of consciousness as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and like microdosing, some other like microdosing mushrooms can also be really nice for pleasure practice. Because for a lot of people, it can help kind of turn off the mind and
Mm.
help you come into your body more.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned you have a beloved now.
Oh, I do.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that, how that came about, and how that's helped in your healing journey?
Yeah, pretty magical how it all came to be. But we kind of came into each other's field in 2020. He's also a somatic sex educator and sexological body worker.
Okay.
Um, and we just kind of, we were in each other's field in various ways for several years. And then um, he invited me to a gathering of a bunch of sexological body workers who are exploring at the intersections of sacred intimacy and plant medicine. And in that container, we fell in love.
Hmm.
And then, he was on the West Coast. I was living on the East Coast at that time. And there were a lot of different reasons why it looked like on paper it was not possible between us. But as the months went on and we kept flying back and forth to see each other, things just started to line up for us.
No.
Um, and then, yeah, I ended up deciding to leave the East Coast, which was a big, big move for me.
Of
Uh,
course.
and now we're living together here, and um, yeah, we really love to practice sex magic together, and we teach together too. So we have a course called Divine Union for Lovers.
Aww.
We do retreats, and it's so
Hashtag goals.
fun. It's so fun.
Couple goals all the way. I'm so happy to hear that you have had like a happy ending after everything. And I want to ask, like, do you feel like you're fully healed from the childhood abuse and the trafficking? Do you feel like you'll ever be fully healed?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that question because I don't really resonate with the idea that anything is fully healed. Like there's always more layers, you know? However, I also think that it's fair to say that this wound is like healed and that it's closed. It's no longer an open, gaping wound that is running my
Mm,
life. I'm no longer acting from these wounds. I'm
there
no
you go.
longer projecting from them all day long, right? Um, but I think the ways that wow, I've done so much work in boundaries and voice, and like I'm pretty good at this point at setting boundaries. But in just the right circumstance, context, power dynamics, I will still fawn,
Mm.
right? My body will still have kind of a uncontrollable nervous system response to try to keep me safe.
And you think that came from the childhood abuse?
Yeah, it's like it started with the childhood abuse, and then it like got even deeper in my system from the rapes, from the trafficking.
Is that something that you want to talk about? Because,
What about it?
like, the childhood abuse, like, I feel like we as humans want to shy away from it as much as possible because we don't want to even feel or fathom the idea, but we have a president right now, a pedophile, and all the Epstein files are coming out about how all of these men are raping children. I remember when I first saw The Sound of Freedom and when I found out about human trafficking for the first time. And I guess I just wanted to know if the little girl inside of you wants to say anything about that.
Hmm. Well, I don't know if the little girl inside of me I wants to say anything about it, but I think the woman Ariel is just, it's devastating to me the amount that it happens, the amount of people that I talk to, that I meet, that I work with who have experienced this. Um,
Why do you think it happens? Being a conscious being that you are and having that experience, why the hell is it so prevalent?
in the same way that trafficking is really a is like an element of a colonial capitalist patriarchy, so
Mhm.
is childhood sexual abuse.
Hmm.
So it's a right, it's a culture that has grown upon stealing land from people, prioritizing male white bodies over everyone else, deciding who is disposable and who is worthy of respect and care. Um, a society that, there's a lot of religious doctrine that shames sexuality, represses it, which then makes it come out sideways. And, a lot of the abuse that happens, the sexual abuse happens, is not about sex, it's about power. People are exerting their power over another. Children are the easiest people to do that to.
But does it come from sexual desire or does it come from, I'm pissed at you, you little snot nosed little kid. I'm going to show you how big and powerful I am? Like, from your experience or from others that you've heard of, does it come from like an anger and then like an uncontrollable desire to exert force, or is it because they have some nasty sexual fantasies in their head?
I mean, it can be either. But I think a lot of it actually, I think a lot of people have a link in their system between like have like a sexual desire arises from having power over someone, right? So it's
Yeah.
kind of like asking, like, where does it stem? Well, it's almost like a loop. Like someone is angry and wants to exert power over someone, and then they get off. They start to feel arousal sensation in their body from the idea of exerting their power over someone.
Mm-hmm. Was it a family member of yours? Was it a neighbor? Was it a close friend?
It was a caregiver.
Hmm. Your parents must have felt, I mean, did you tell anyone?
No, I didn't tell anyone and I actually didn't remember until much later in my life, which is super, super common. So there's
Wow.
huge chunks of my childhood that are missing, which is
Holy moly.
really common for sexual abuse survivors or really survivors of any extreme, violent abuse as a child. Uh, and plant medicine supported me in retrieving those memories, which is also very common, and specifically ayahuasca.
Ooh, I'm getting such full body goosebumps right now. That must have been terrifying. That must have been horrifying.
It was, and honestly, when I remembered, I felt so much relief because the rest of my life made so much sense.
Amiga. Okay.
So it was like the missing puzzle piece.
So then, what link did you make in your mind from childhood abuse to stripping and sex work?
So the way that I come to think about it now is that I would have wanted to be a sex worker no matter what, because it is my dharma to be a teacher of love, pleasure, and grief.
Amen.
I would probably not I would not have been so harmed while I was in the sex industry, and I very likely would not have been trafficked. I doubt I would have. It's because of the abuse as a child that I was so vulnerable to be taken advantage of.
Hmm.
And, it's really common for people who have experienced childhood sexual abuse to be sexually abused many more times in their life because, predators can smell it on you.
Interesting. Interesting. The psychology of a pedophile, of a predator.
Yeah, and it's
Definitely
like,
something.
a lot of pedophiles, it's not even that they're like have a fetish around kids. It's just that they're the easiest people to abuse.
They don't have enough game to get women like us, so then they take advantage of small children. Great.
Well,
Hmm.
they wouldn't even be interested in women like us.
That's because they don't have enough balls to man up for people like us. Come on. Interesting. Yeah, I didn't grow up with a father. And
Mhm.
so I was constantly searching for men. I was constantly boy crazy because I needed that masculine energy. I only grew up with my mom and my grandmother, and so I was surrounded in my divine feminine, but I didn't have any masculine energy. So that's why I was called to have so many boyfriends and always looking for boys. I remember being in the car with my mom, looking out the window at men driving cars and being like, could that be my dad? Could that be my dad? Could that be my dad? I was like always searching and curious. I ended up finding him on the internet when I was 21 years old. I searched for him, I found him, had a relationship with him for 10 years. And then when I started my journey of finding my sexy, I was like, no, I can't have him around. He talks to me about his sexual experiences, all the women he's screwing, and I'm like, this is
Mhm.
this is uncomfortable. I don't want this. Like, no.
Right. It's like
Um,
that's not what you were looking for when you wanted to connect with your dad.
no, I actually had a dream toward the beginning of our relationship that he abused me, that he raped me. And so I was very like on guard while I was around him because I'm like, think about it. I'm an adult woman, like a young adult woman meeting an old man for the first time. Like, I don't know his intentions. My mom told me like, be careful. Be careful. We don't know. We don't know him. Um, so yeah, I can definitely see how like the absence of my father has led me toward sleeping with so many men in Spain because I was already very open. My mom raised me in a very sexually open. She didn't have sex. She was celibate. She was not interested in that at all. But I was raised in a place where they said sex was love. And so I wanted male love. I needed men, for that energy. So it's very interesting to see how our parental and how our childhood histories kind of shape the journey of our life, especially going into the sex industry.
Yeah.
So what are you up to these days? Do you have any offerings of what you're teaching that you want to share with the audience?
Mm. Yeah, so these days I'm really combining my two passions, the two paths I walk of plant medicine and sacred sexuality. So, Divine Union for Lovers is a virtual course that's available.
Mm.
And then we also have a retreat for couples coming up in June in
Ooh.
Santa Monica, Los Angeles. And then in April in Peru, if you're feeling called to do some deep work with the plants and ayahuasca, holding a women's retreat.
Ooh, I'm manifesting to do that with you. That would be incredible.
Mhm.
Okay, beautiful. And anything else that you'd like to share with the audience about your story? Any advice for women who either want to get into the sex industry, who want to get out of the sex industry, who may be in a situation right now where they don't want to be? Anything that you would like to share?
Um, yeah, I think I'm feeling called to really speak to the people who are in a situation where you don't want to be. Um, and what I would say is that your body doesn't lie. So keep listening and enact your own little acts of rebellion. And that can be like, even, depending on where you are and what's happening for you, it could be even just like choosing stillness to listen to your body for 2 minutes.
Hmm.
Maybe it's speaking up to let someone know how you feel or something's not okay with you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's actually making a change and leaving something.
Mm-hmm.
But the little acts of rebellion really add up
Mm-hmm.
to make big, big changes.
Mm. Beautiful. Thank you.
Mhm.
Well, then, if there's nothing else that you would like to confess today, then we can close the confessional booth. And I thank you so much for your vulnerability, for sharing your story. I honor your bravery, not only speaking up now, but through all of the experiences that you have gone through. I am so elated and happy that you have found love, not only outside with your partner, but within yourself, and that you are making a difference in this world, and that you didn't let sex trafficking get in the way of your passion of sex work. I find that to be such an interesting like plot twist of your story, in that you were still able to reclaim your sexuality, not depending on any of the other circumstances. You stayed true to your mission and to your calling. I find that absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. And the last thing I'll say, and I think we've kind of hovered around this, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like what really helped me get there was realizing that it's not sex work that's harmful. It's the conditions surrounding it, right? It's the way like certain people in the society are treated.
What do you think that we could do to manifest a sex work positive world? What
Oh,
else can we do?
where sex workers are put in their rightful seats of holy teachers.
Priestesses of pleasure, unite!
Yes. Oh man. Well, what what people can do individually, I think, is start to really connect with their own pleasure in bodies and really start to analyze like what stories are you carrying? What's, stigma and shaming do you hold around sex work and sex workers?
Yeah.
Read some books, listen to some podcast episodes by sex workers. But what is their actual experience? Because people don't actually listen often to sex workers, right? Everyone has an opinion about what we need, what's going to keep us safe. No, no, what do we actually say we need?
And what do you think the benefit is for some normal person out in the world who has nothing to do with the sex industry?
Yeah.
Why are our voices significant? Why should they listen to us and our stories?
Well, the thing about there being stigma about sex work, that continues to just create stigma and shame around sex in general. And that
Mm,
affects everyone, and that affects everyone's bedroom.
mm. And we all deserve to be sexually fulfilled people,
Yeah.
enjoying our experiences.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, another way that the audience can participate is part of the Courtesan Confessional is the public can also turn in their written confessional as well. I'll put all the links in the bio, but they can submit it so you can give it to your partner and he can submit his confession. And I'm also starting a Please Stand Up campaign where I'm asking people, I can ask you right now, to send in a quick little video of you standing up in a chair. And my idea is to put all of these videos together and send out a campaign video of "We stand with sex workers. We stand with sex work." the condemning of sex trafficking, but the return of the purity of sacred prostitution. So that's a way that the audience can be more involved listening to this podcast, giving us the time of the day, because it's also important that they are informed given the Epstein files. They only see sex trafficking, but they don't see the beautiful side of it. And I hope that with listening to stories like ours, they can see the more beautiful side of it as well.
Right. And that sex work is actually different than sex trafficking. They are not the same thing.
And you would be the one to preach it, sister.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining in, for tuning in at Sexy Sunday School, this special episode of the Courtesan Confessional with Ariel Szabo. Right? Did I say it right? I love you, sister. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll see all you guys later.